Understand Star viewers, welcome. Till now we completed to the record part of BEd, right? Where you have shown your creative aspects, like how well you can do your records and submit it. Now the time to show your memory power and time management skills. Whether you're a distance education student or a regular student, exams are very important in both of these categories, right? In either in distance education or in regular students' perspective. So, as the exams are approaching near, we are going to start revision classes for every subject. One unit a day makes you much more confident on the subject knowledge you have. So why late? Let's start the video. Today we are going to study or understand not only the subject but also the subject, the weightage of the marks and the presentation skills and also the concepts. We are starting with Unit 1 of Psychology. I have a map here which will take you towards what all is going to happen in this class today. So watch till the entire video if you want the revision of all these 13 questions. Like we know that we have two parts in our exam, right? That is 4 marks session and 10 marks section. And in 4 marks we have 8 important questions in first unit, and 10 marks we have 5 important questions. Altogether we have 13. And these are not the questions that are assumed or expected by the teachers of the colleges, but it is proved to be important because it appeared in different years in different universities. All those are extracted from series books and here they are listed for you. So no need to worry, just one unit a day will make you completely perfect in that subject. And also not only in this subject, we are soon coming with all the subjects of first semester. So be ready and let's have a look towards the questions. Moving to the first question out of 8 questions of 4 marks. Okay, so it's really easy. Let's understand the question first. Cognitive developmental characteristics of childhood. Okay, so what are they trying to ask? We have to understand the cognitive developmental characteristics. What is cognitive here? It is basically categorized into 3 ways, that is cognitive activities, psychomotor activities, or they are also classified, they are also called as domains. Okay. We know cognitive domain, psychomotor domain and affective domain. The cognitive domain talks about all the intellectual abilities like thinking, reasoning, imagination, creativity, this kind of stuff. So we are going to see that kind of developmental characteristics in childhood. And here there are 8 points that are noted as the qualities that are observed as the developmental characteristics of childhood. Okay, you can make it as subheadings and you can take it, or because it is only for 4 marks, what you can do is, if even it appears for 10 marks question, you can make the subheadings like this and you can write. Okay. Whatever I am saying now, it's beneficial for 10 marks and also for 8 marks, for 4 marks. Okay. So, first one is attention. What is attention? See, in the level of childhood, the span of attention towards the subject or towards an activity. If someone are doing a magic, if someone are doing some talent shows like gymnastics and all, we won't pay much attention to such kind of things, because we are seeing it every day, or we are bored of seeing it and we know everything, we are not interested of it. But for a child it is really an excitement, and it is like a surprise, and it is something like a new thing they are watching for the very first time. So whatever the new thing is there, or whatever thing they don't know, whatever they find it new and interesting, the span of attention towards that particular activity or a thing they are watching, that increases. See, hardly if we see it is for the some 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and then just we pass our eye on to the other things. Yes, but for children they'll be watching constantly like that. Like whenever we are making them to talk, whenever we are playing with them, whenever we are showing some new things, they are very attracted and they start smiling and talking to us. So the span of attention increases. And then memory, the memory power they have in that age time, that time no one will have that memory power will increase very rapidly. And you can understand the small kids, whenever we take the belongings of their parents or their grandparents, they simply come and tell, this is my parents' watch, this is my parents' bike and something like that, my mom's scooty, and this is my dad's shirt, etc. They recognize very easily that memory power, and whenever they see some shows, easily they say that this is that movie, this is this actor's name and all. They say it very fast. And imagination and creativity. Imagination and creativity, how it is there, like imagination is like in that time they are born, they are habituated to see some different stories, programs, etc. Or else they might listen to the stories told by their parents, grandparents, etc. They imagine in their mind while they are listening to something that kind of stuff, and then they just created something out of it. Then they come and say, I saw a dream where it was a super Disneyland, and there were some Supermans fighting there, flying there, etc. They'll be saying that kind of stuff. And whenever they go to exhibitions and all, they find the Superman photos and dolls like that. They get and they'll be playing with it, and they create something other story like I'm a Superman, and they'll be playing with that creativity levels, and this jigsaw puzzles and etc. Whatever they get it to the home, and they'll solve that puzzles, and that creativity they have much at that time. So this is also one of the cognitive development characteristics that is observed in that childhood. Okay, then symbolical thinking. What is symbolical thinking? We have symbols for everything, right? So whenever they need something, they just do a sign, like I want this, I just want water, I want to sleep, I just want to go to washroom or something like that. This kind of symbols. Okay, that symbolical thinking also improves. Whenever they want to go outside, they make signals, and they try to hide it from their parents, that command kind of signals and all. They develop symbolical thinking and concepts like shape, size, etc. Like what is the shape, what is the size, even they'll have the knowledge. They develop upon that concepts also. Like seeing one apple, they'll catch it and they'll see like this, and we don't know, we don't understand why are they saying that fruit like that. But then whenever they see that fruit like that, they will easily understand this is apple. And when they don't like it, even if you show 10 to 15 times and you'll ask them to eat, they will have that point in the mind that this is an apple which I don't like, so they won't catch it. And also shape, size, color, etc. Whenever you are giving you a doll, your kids will be asking a doll for you, then what you'll say, you'll get some other small doll of the same type which they asked. But they say, no, which I asked is very big in size and you just bought me a very small doll. So this is kind of ideas and concepts like shape, size, color, distance, etc. They will have it in their mind. And concrete objects, by the year of they reach to 7 years, they'll be understanding the concrete objects and concepts also. and then logical thinking ends at the end of the childhood. They develop logical thinking. After 7 years they get to solve different puzzles, logics, etc. Whenever we say some story and we find out the logic, they'll easily tell us this is the thing, and they can solve the riddles, and they are much interested to this kind of activities. And then abstract concepts which they can't understand before, they'll be trying to understand all these different abstract concepts. So these are the 8 characteristics. Span of attention increases and the memory power increases rapidly. Imagination and creativity also starts from this age, and symbolical thinking, they develop this symbolical thinking, and this concepts like shape, size, color, distance they will be much aware of all these things, and concrete objects by the age of 7, and they develop logical thinking, and they also understand abstract concepts. So these are the 8 points that are characterized as the cognitive development in childhood. Clear? Now we are going to move on to the next answer. Now we are going to the second question, that is physical developmental features or characteristics of childhood. In the last topic, in the first question was about cognitive development. Now we are talking about the physical development of the childhood. Okay. So what are the characteristics? It is easy and obvious, everybody know about that. First one is slow growth rate. When they are very infants and very small babies, in that stage the growth rate will be very low, at a very slow stage. And also the height, okay, from that infant stage they slowly increase their height, months by months, years by years, like that. And after 3 years of age they just grow up to the half of the adulthood of that child, like when he half of his adulthood, okay, by reaching adulthood, if he is about some 4 feet, then he will reach to the 2 feet out of that half of his adulthood. And then also the weight also increases simultaneously with height, like 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, like that, based on their habits. And lean and tall, they start growing at this kind of small age, they start growing lean and tall. You can observe the changes after they are learning to walk, something like that. They start growing some tall, and also they become lean, okay. And muscle development, so here muscle tissues of that child will increase, and that will help in muscle coordination. So they have a good muscle power, at least to hold a thing in their hand, some weight thing, like handling a glass of water or handling a coffee mug, in that kind of things, okay. Then body parts development, even their arms and legs lengthier and grow bigger. And then teeth, we studied in our science class in 5th and 6th standards that we have milky teeth, and then it is replaced with permanent teeth. So this is the age where after a few days, like 4 years or 5 years, they start having this problem, and slowly, okay, gradually, like till they reach to 8 years, 10 years, like that, they'll have this teeth problems, like that milky teeth will go and permanent teeth will be replaced at the place of milky teeth. And adolescence, we know that growth rate in the boys are faster than girls. It is observed that the growth rate is faster in boys than the girls, but it also says the girls reach the adolescence very fast than the boys. And the growth rate is slow in the girls between this age group, 9 to 10 years. What is that? 9 to 10 years in girls and 10 to 11 years in boys. Here the growth rate is slow in girls in between 9 to 10 years, and it is slow in boys between 10 to 11 years. Okay, so as we know, the growth rate is faster in boys when compared to girls, but the girls reach the adolescence very fast than boys, and the growth rate, as we told you, it will be at a slow rate in the girls in this age, like between 9 to 10 years, and the growth rate in the boys will be in the slow rate between 10 to 11 years. These are the very important key points that you can take it. And physical and psychomotor activities. After reaching to the age of 10 to 11 years, they have the habit of developing their physical activities and psychomotor activities like climbing the trees and jumping from the small walls, okay, climbing and running on the steps, etc. Whenever they go to park or something, some places where they can play, you have that monkey climbing kind of games and all, mountain climbing, etc. Whenever they have a chance to climb the wall or something, a tree. So we are moving into the third topic. Before that, we have discussed about the physical development, right? I hope it is clear. Now we are going into the social developmental features or characteristics of childhood. Okay, this is again the interesting topic which everyone can relate. So normally man is a social animal, and we know we develop ourselves going and moving in the environment, in the society and all. Then only we are able to learn about the society rules and regulations, how we have to follow outside. And whenever you can even acquire the knowledge sitting at home, but in order to apply that you need to come outside, right? And also whenever you go outside, what are the norms you have to follow, how you develop it. So this society is a world, I mean it is an, and there is a agency, social agencies, those are families, friends, etc., from whom you will learn everything. So these are the characteristics mentioned and categorized as proved as this. These are the characteristics of childhood. Okay, firstly, expansion of social environment. In that age, in the that childhood age, no one feels to sit at the home. They always try to come outside and play with, they want to go outside, they want to see new things, new people, etc. Anyhow, parents will be taking them to different places, and they will be showing different dolls, etc., for exhibitions. They will be taking them to parents' house, I mean for the grandparents' house and some relatives' house, friends' house, etc. So in that, how you will be having a touch with others. Now you know socializing is important is what we feel, but you know, till the age, I mean till now people are not aware of what is socializing. And now recently they are coming into the social medias, and not about only socializing doesn't mean being in a social media, but coming outside. But you know, in nowadays, from the time they are born itself, they have a social group for them. They are creating some Instagram, Facebook, etc. for them, and they are just posting all the pics. And in the child, even they don't know that how popular they are. They are becoming the star now itself. Okay, they are much aware, and they have their own Instagram accounts from the time they are born, and the photos and all, they are having it in their Instagrams, Facebooks, etc. Whatever they do, they are uploading it. Yes or no? By taking the small children, the cute things they do, they post everything there, and they just create a great sensation like that. So like a child talking about some, reciting some poem, or the child talking at a very small age, where they don't even know how to show the signals and all, they are talking like that. This kind of wonders they are going to record, and they are putting in this in social medias, everything. So like that, expansion of social environment develops from this age, and being active member of the peer group. Okay, whenever they go outside in their surroundings and they play, they'll be the active member, they'll be going outside, they'll be always ready to play, and like this kind of stuff, and they'll be very active in all the things, and importance to the friends. You know, in this age, even the parents say we should not play outside, it is summer, we need not go outside, there is a hot sun, we don't trust. And whenever we see our friends outside, we say, ma'am, my friends are waiting outside, I have to go and play. And we also will be waiting for that time when it turns 4 o'clock or morning, evening, whatever it is, will be mostly with the friends, and we give more importance to the friends than the family members. And adopting needful characteristics. If you have to go outside, you cannot be so rude, like if you want to play, you cannot cheat the game, or you can't hit the your friends or something like that, or breaking the walls, breaking the doors, etc. You have to opt some needful characteristics in order to roam in the society, like in the childhood, I mean the children. So whenever they are opting those characteristics, they will know if they are going outside how they have to behave. So these are the characteristics they are going to understand at that age, are noticed as one important characteristic of social development of the childhood. And then what next? Obeys the society rules of the society. What are the society rules? That no one, if you are living in a colony type of environment, in some residencies and all, you will have your peer group there itself, some 20-30 apartments together, and you have many friends with you, you are going to play with them. Then you will have some society rules or that colony rules, whatever they make. Okay, you should not go out of your gate, and you should not create any kind of nuisance or any kind of sound pollution, because there are also other people living beside you. They should not get disturbed because of you, and you should not harm any property of the house or wherever you belong, and you should not even harm the environment, and you should not fight between your friends. If you want to play, you have to play, or else you have to sit at house. Okay, this kind of basic rules and regulations, they start obeying it, because otherwise their parents are not going to let them out to play, so they have to obey. And mostly they'll play this cricket and running balls, they'll be throwing it on the buildings and all, they'll go and get it again, that is a risk for them, right? So this kind of risky activities should be avoided, and the children are only allowed to go to certain zones where they can go, and they are not even allowed to the terrace to play, because that is again dangerous. So these are some society rules. And not only that, whenever they go out to the society also, when they are going on the road, how they have to walk, how they have to throw, where they have to throw the waste, and how they have to move on the road and in the social environment, and identification of difference between girls and boys in respect to the games, the ideologies, the habits, etc. Whenever we say, like if I say to the small boy, I mean a small child, you wear 2 plaits, what will he say? That I won't do this girlish kind of things, I'm a boy, I don't want to plait my hair, etc. And whenever a girl is playing a volleyball outside, then boys come and tease her, why are you playing the games which boys play and all, why you want to come in this, you just go and play your girlish kind of games and all. They just do this kind of things. And games, there will be much active in games, and like as I told you, the sports and all, they don't know how, I mean how serious it is, like they also won medals, but for the small kids it is just to play in a playground, like hide and seek games kind of thing, and cricket, mostly they play cricket, and this kind of stuff. So even they go to game parlors to play all these things, so they are much interested in games. And feeling of autonomy, first though their parents will take them into the society, you go and interact with others, you go and play with others, you go and talk to your relatives, talk to your friends. They will take and they'll show them the different places around their house and all. So what they'll do first, parents are taking them. Once they are habituated with all this environment, all these circumstances, all the society rules and regulations, they are feeling independent and they can do whatever they want. Even if their parents go to work, they can easily come outside and they can go to your friend's house and they can play. So that feeling of autonomy, the independence, like to do whatever they like, is what the main characteristic of social development features of childhood. What are those? Expansion of social environment, being active member in their peer group, in sharing all these ideas and thoughts and making them follow this, and importance to friends. Now even if we say friends say something and parents say something, then they'll agree only with the friends, like my friend told this, we are going to do this, that's all, like that. Then sharing their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings, like whenever their parents scold them, they'll just come and sit and my parents are scolding me a lot. Then other one will come and say my parents are so good, they give me whatever I ask, and last week they took me to a movie, in this week, like this the discussion and develops between the kids. And this major interest, how it shifts is where the parents who don't care their children will get attracted to those people, those children whose parents care them a lot. Okay, your parents are like this, your parents are like that. Okay, they start talking about this, their environment and this environment, like that interest will develop between the people. Then adopting the needful characteristics. If you have to go outside, you should have those needful characteristics or those manners to move in outside the society, and then obey the rules of the society, as I told you. And then identification of difference between girls and boys in that activities, games, habits, etc. Games, playing, they are interested in games, and feeling of autonomy. Okay, these are the 9 characteristics developed, 9 characteristics of social development features of childhood. Clear? Let's move on to the next topic. Now we are moving into the 4th topic, that is emotional developmental features of childhood. Now here we have a line like emotion is a stirred-up state of body and mind. Okay, take it down. Emotion is a stirred-up state of body and mind, said by R.S. Woodworth. Okay, now we have 8 characteristics again that describes the emotional development. So first one is spontaneity. So they react spontaneously for the emotions. In the childhood, they suddenly cry, they suddenly shout. We don't even understand why are they crying all of the sudden. Till now they were smiling at us. Why are they crying? And concrete objects, they show their emotional expressions towards that concrete objects. They understand that, and whenever they get anger, they just go and hit the wall, like this kind of stuff. And transitory emotions, like we say mood swings, right? So in that, like suddenly they start jealousy to happiness, like whenever we get toys to the children at the house, then what they feel, they don't like the toys which they got, but they they like the toys which their brother or sister got, and they will be fighting for that. Why didn't you get me this, and why did you get all these this thing, like that. They don't want what they get, but they expect for something else, and suddenly they start smiling, suddenly they start going into the some other way of emotion, like that. Then intensity of stimulus, like everything will come at the intense speed. Whatever they think, they just react on it, that's it. They don't even have an idea of what people feel by these words and all. They just try to put their emotions and their feelings on us. So that's like intensity of the stimulus. And pleasant emotions, so children always like to be in a pleasant environment where their parents are just going on with their work. They come and play sometimes, and then they are just being themselves, not to be noticed by everyone. Okay, whenever they feel someone are watching them while doing all these things, they are not that free. They want to be in a pleasant environment, not so crowded. They want to play some with some friends, some toys, that's it. They don't want to be at all in a crowded environment. That's the reason whenever we take them to the crowded places like some temples, some malls, they start getting irritated. Yes, so this kind of, they need a pleasant kind of environment and that emotions, like they don't like shouting, like your parents shouting at them or punishing them, this kind of things they don't at all like it. And control, by the time they reach this late childhood, they'll have the control on their emotions. Like whenever they were in a childhood, they used to cry for each and everything. When their dad promised them that he is going to bring a doll today, but unfortunately he couldn't get it because of being busy in work or just forgetting it. So he'll come and convince, okay, today it was not possible, I'll get it tomorrow. Then the child won't listen. He starts crying, I just want it now. Then either he has to get, or he has to shut his mouth by saying something or the other. But in this age, they will understand that my dad was busy or else he could get it to me. If it is about the chocolate which his dad has promised to him, then he will understand, yes, eating too much of chocolates is not good to me. That's the reason dad might not get it, or else even if he gets, he will get at some other time, no problem. They'll understand like this, and they'll have a control upon their emotions, and they know when to do what, when they have to cry, when they have to convince their parents. Now the action they do is really hilarious, like they start acting like as if they are crying, and they have the stability and control over their emotions. Even if you are hurt and someone is trying to make you laugh, then you don't want to laugh, then you will try to control your emotions. No, I should not laugh now, like that. Then diverse emotional responses. See, all the children will not be of the same type. There are few children who are very shy, and there are students who are the children who are very straightforward, like whenever they want something, they just stay silent and they will get it from their parents. Like they'll be saying 2-3 times repetitively, I wish I could have this, I wish I could have this, and suddenly they get dull. So their parents will understand, okay, 2-3 times she was asking for this, so I have to get that. Or else directly they'll go and ask by convincing with so cheesy words that their parents will get convinced to them, and they'll get all these things which they love. And the few people, they act different for the different responses. If you're scared, then how will you do? Few people will try to run from there, and few people will just hide behind it, the door or something like that. Whenever you see some horror scenes, you want to see that, but then again whenever you're scared, how you do at that time of childhood, you should either you will change the movie or switch off the TV, or something like you'll hug your mom and dad will just sit to the corner by seeing hiding from that. This kind of things, like they have diverse emotional responses. Everyone cannot respond in the same manner. And temper tantrums, like they just want it at this time, means they want it, they are not going to compromise on it for any other case. If they want a cycle now, they have to get it, that's it, and there is no compromise. And like he will ask his father for a bike, then he has to get it. I mean, the playing bike we have now at a small stage, so that kind of bike. And if they want a doll, or if they want to have something going outside, they have to take. At that point of time, they don't know what they want. Okay, they'll be crying, I want something to eat, I want something to eat. Then their parents, okay, tell me what you want to eat, I'll order it for you. Then they'll say again, I don't know what I want to have, but they want to have something and they are just confused. So that temper tantrums at that all of the sudden they just reflect with the thing like that force, that we want that. So that's called temper tantrums. Okay, these are the again 8 characteristics that are seen in the childhood. Those are the emotional developmental characteristics. Spontaneity, emotional expressions towards the concrete objects, and then transitory emotions like suddenly smiling and suddenly getting jealous, and then again intensity of stimulus and pleasant emotions, like they always try to live in the pleasant environment where they can freely live and control over the emotions at the time of late childhood. And then diverse emotional responses. As I told you, everyone will not react in the same manner, and temper tantrums. These are the 8 things noticed as the emotional developmental characteristics of the childhood. And what is this definition? The emotional, it is the stirred up state of mind and body, said by R.S. Wordsworth. Okay. Now moving on into the 5th topic, discuss about the psychosocial entity of the individual. This question may be asked in these 2 types. Don't get confused if he is asking this. Just remember in your mind, you have to write about the psychosocial entity of the childhood. I mean about the psychic state of that student and also about his social status of the student. That is what you have to answer in the exam. Whatever the question is twisted, shifted, whatever it is, the answer you have to write is what I am going to explain it today. The basic point you have to keep in the mind is psychosocial entity, okay, of an individual, or importance of understanding the learners as a psychosocial entity. So when you are in the school, you have to focus on the learner's point. Yes. So if you have to teach that learner, the one who is learning, then you have to understand them first. Okay. In order to understand, what are you going to do? Psychosocial entity. You know, man is a social animal, and they also have some cognitive and affective and psychomotor domains. So all these comes, cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains comes under this psychic entity. And social is what, like, is social status, like social agencies like families, friends, etc. So that all comes here. And the psychic thing is like cognitive domain, affective domain and psychomotor domain, all comes here. When you are aware about these 2 things of the learner, then you can easily connect to them. So at the very first classes, you will try to understand the student, like asking their name, about their family background, about their friends, what the things they like and what are their hobbies, how did they learn, and what were their marks in the last class, etc. Here the main interest of the teacher is not knowing what they like, but it's just to analyze them, how good are they at the social environment and at psychic environment. No one is interested in what movie you like, but they actually want to know, are you aware of movies or not, are you aware of social environment or not. That is the hidden meaning in that. Okay, so basically the learners may be brought up in some different types of environments. Like few people who are parents are well educated kind of thing, and they move to such places where they can gain knowledge, and they love traveling. They take their children to different places, museums, parks, where some monuments, etc., where they can know about the history. So when they already show that and they are studying it in their social class, then they'll feel like, I already saw this at that place. They'll be sharing it with their teachers. So this kind of things, how their parents will get them, and the learners will be brought up in different circumstances. This is the one kind of phase. The other one is like parents are educated, but they're not they won't care of their children. Whatever it is, we are paying fees, they are going to school, they are coming, that's it. They have to study, they have to play with their friends, and then they have to go to sleep, and they are not interested in taking them to different places or something like that. So how will be in that kind of environment, and your socializing status is really very low, very bad, like you won't move outside, you don't know your relatives, your friends, etc. Then how were you brought up? Then if you know everyone, how was your childhood, then it differs, right? So even this cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains also depends on social environment. Whenever you have a chance to do something or the other, then only you can apply this cognitive domains there, right? So if you don't apply, you don't know. So whenever you are aware of this social and psychomotor activities, I mean about these three domains of the child, what are these things? Cognitive things is thinking, reasoning, writing, reading, creative and imagination things, etc. And emotional is like, affective is like emotions, crying, laughing, and many things like this about emotions. And psychomotor activities is like climbing, running, walking, whatever it is, physical activities, right? So all these kind of things combined with social status will give you the complete picture of the learner's attitude. And this don't only mean about the mind, but also the self concepts like self confidence and esteems and etc, like how they feel, they are they introverts or extroverts, can they easily explain or express their emotions, or they are hiding it from anyone. And if you are brought up at a good well status, then you will be like another one, like who always share, you go and sit with your friends, you will talk to them in this kind of thing. And if you are an introvert, even if you are having you were brought up in a single room and you don't know any others other than studying, seeing movies, games, you can gain knowledge sitting at house, but can you apply it when you go into the real world? When till joining the school you was the only person sitting at home and you don't know the outside environment. Whenever you come into the school, you will be having some 40 students sitting before and behind you, then you will be one of them. Then how will you go and interact? You don't know even how to talk to your friends or something like that. You don't know. When if they are friends in the class, they will already be forming the groups, and if you don't know anyone, how are you going to mingle? This is what the learner's perspective. When we know both of these things very nicely, then we can easily understand the learner's point of view. Then we can also be able to connect to them through our lessons. Okay, whenever they say whatever the places they visited, and whenever we want to take an example, if we remember that, we will connect to that so that the student can understand what you are explaining on the board. And this is one of the strategy taken by the teacher to explain them. Okay, so this is the answer, and it can be asked in these two types. So just don't forget, I mean don't get confused, make the note of it. Whatever it is, the main point you have to keep in mind is the psychosocial entity of an individual. Clear? Let's move on into the next question. Now we are moving into the sixth concept, that is, now we understood what is the impact of social background and cognitive activities, physical development individually, right? Now we are going to understand how is family's role influence on the childhood of children. Okay, so how are they going to affect? So you know, family is the first social agency, first school, first society, first world, everything. And parents, and especially mother, is the guru, is the first teacher who teaches us everything. Yes or no? So everything, that learning or whatever of the child begins from the family itself. So these are the 10 kind of characteristics that influence the family's habits on children, and what kind of habits it should be to, in order to make the children an idealistic person. Okay, so firstly, food habits. So you know, in this kind of stage in childhood, they always they don't like healthy food, they always tend to have the junk food. Yes or no? Like mostly they will be asking for cakes, pastries, food habits and juices, ice creams and all. They are fond of that things, and they are not at all habituated to have healthy foods. But here the diet plays a much role in the development of the brain and also the body of the child. Yes or no? If you are having healthy food, follow with proper diet. Morning at 8 a.m. you should have breakfast, and 12 o'clock you should have lunch, 4 o'clock snacks, and then or the other you will be having some liquid supplements, and at the night sharp 8 a.m. you have to have the dinner and you have to go to sleep. If you are maintaining this perfect health habits for the child from the childhood itself, they will be habituated for that, and they will be growing as the strongest persons ever. So even few people, they will be very strict about their diets, and they'll be taking proper care. And there are also few people, parents who love their children a lot, and they cannot say no to their wants. Like if they want cake because they are crying, or because they are they want it and they love them and they don't want them to feel low, or they don't want to disappoint them, then they will be giving everything, and after it what happens, they have to go and suffer, right? So the food habits play a much important role in the development of the children. Okay, then physical activities. To what extent you are giving permission in physical activities? Okay, in that age, either the main thing, priority of the people in that childhood is for playing. Okay, you should play outdoor games like some catching a ball, running, hide and seek, this kind of things. But you are not supposed to do the things which the elder people do. Okay, that physical activity is only restricted to some particular extent for the childhood. Okay, so to what extent they are allowing you to play, and for what extent they are giving you the liberty to play. Like you should only play the games which are suitable for your childhood, not more than that. Not just because others mischievous things, like the other children will do some mischievous things, you can't do like that. You know your limits, and you have to play only to that extent for which you are permitted. So if in that kind, if the parents are putting some things, borders, like invisible borders around them, and they are just letting them do what they want, then they will be in a perfect environment and they will learn many new things. Okay, so food habits are done and physical activities are also done. The main priority is to play games, to get interacted with the other society members also, not only to sit at home and get it done. So like that is the main priority, to get socialized. But it doesn't mean that you just go outside and you just don't come back and you just you're going out of the house, not like that. Okay, then child rearing practices, like how the child are brought up, these practices, like there are few people who know well how to pamper the kids, at what time, how they have to grow the child, how they are they know how to bring up, and what are the qualities they have to get, everything. This child rearing practices also depends on them. So few people will be showing this gender discriminations. If the boy child does everything is correct. If a girl child is doing something, they'll just stop it. And there are few things where they love girl childs a lot, and then they just encourage everything whatever they do. No, that's not a correct way. So whatever it is, you have to show the equal liberty and importance to whatever it is they do, and you just have to identify that they are a human being and they have their own rights as human being, and you should also give them all their rights and also teach them their responsibilities. That is how the child rearing practices goes. So then, ideal qualities of parents. What are these ideal qualities of parents? Like taking the responsibility of their children. Just because they are working, they cannot ignore them. They should be with them. Like even if they are working, once upon a time they should come and notice what the children are doing, and they should have some ideal qualities like how to bring up their children and all. Before they are giving, they are planning for the family, they just go for the parenting classes, how they have to bring up their child, not to go in a sarcastic way, or in they turn psychos because they don't try to manage, they don't know how to manage their child, and they just throw their children in the crutches and all, and then just don't know what to do. So these are not at all the idealistic qualities. They have to know how to bring up their children like that. Then traditions. The traditions, culture of the family also show the impact. Okay, whenever you are much born to the tradition, whenever you go outside, you will try to put it at the top position. Whenever you go outside, it depends upon your family members. Being in that tradition and culture, if you are not showing importance to it, whenever you go outside, you will just try to follow the other culture or something, like you'll just try to discriminate and just put down your own culture. Yes or no? But if you are brought up in such an environment where your culture plays a main role to you, then whenever you go outside, you will put your head up and you can say, I belong to this culture and I'm proud to be in that culture. Okay, you will try to put it top. Okay, then that traditions also play an important role in the childhood of the children. And socialization, as I told you, socialization is also important, but in which kind of social thing you are involved is also important. Socialization is like not talking to every person around you, but you have to know your limits. Like you should not talk to the strangers, you should only mind your work. You need to talk to your friends, to your family members, and then just to move on simply like everyone goes in the society. You have to do your work and just return back. Okay, like this kind of socialization. And then joint family influences. How are these joint families? We just get to find very rare joint families nowadays. Either we can see it in the villages or at some places, okay, where they have 2 or 3 sons and daughters. They all join together, they stay together. Then how are they pampered and all, with all the grandparents, uncles, aunts, how they used to be, like they love family environment. Okay, and the people, we always know there is a basic psychological ideology. It's like people who have everything don't know the importance of it, and the people who don't have anything also don't know. Few people like who don't have anything, they feel sometimes like it's better if I don't have anything only, because I'm happy like this. But there are few people who feel, who are really alone, they'll feel to have a joint family. And the people who are really in the joint family, they never knows its importance sometimes. And even there are few people in the joint family who feels that they are lucky to have a family like this. So that kind of ideology, thoughts, that joint family, that kind of bonds, relations, etc., also puts the effect and influence on the children's mind. And democratism, the democratic parents, I mean, who are who they know what are their rights and how they have to bring up their children and all, never put their expectations and aspirations on the children. Like, I wanted to be a doctor but I couldn't, so you can do it. Or else, if even they have some desires, if they are not able to do it, they'll just drop it there itself. But because they have the demand, they won't put you as the main tool for that. Okay, they won't use you, but they will take care of you, and they will be your ideas, your ideologies, your thoughts will be very precious for them. And in order instead of their forcing your thoughts on you, they will rather support and encourage your priorities, your thoughts and your actions, etc. And they find it fight for a day and night to get your dreams successful. Okay, those are the ideal qualities of the democratic parents. And economical status, yes, you know, there are 3 classes: middle class, lower class and up class. Up class students are always being in a royal structure family, and they will also have some ethics and rules. And middle class people, where they pay much attention for their self respect and having a balanced life and peaceful happy life. And the low class, where they want the main ideology is just to earn the money and just get on the life like this. Okay, either to grow rich or just to pass day by day requirements and all. So in this 3 kind of classes also, that childhood mentality that influences a lot on the child. If they are grown up in the rich family, they just know that I need not fear of anything, I have everything, and whenever I ask something, my parents will always give it to me. And middle class parents will say, yes, we will give it to you, but give me some time. They will be giving, but they will make, at least for the some extent, they will fulfill all their requirements until only when it is needed. Okay, then low class will be like their own, but in their own levels also they have their own priorities and actions. So economical status of the child also will affect their childhood. And idealistic life, because this idealistic life depends upon these qualities, like irrespective of all these things, if you make a list of how the parents should be towards the child and how the parents the child should be towards the parents and society, then they will understand and they will put an effort to that. Then if you are meeting all these qualities that you should have to meet an idealistic life of your child, then you will be having all these characteristics. These are the 10 characteristics observed as the main important things to be that influences on the childhood. Okay, what are those? Food habits, physical activities, child rearing practices, ideal qualities of the parents, traditions and cultures, and then also socialization, joint family influences, democratism, economical status, and idealistic life. Okay, these are the 10 characteristics that's come to the end of the 6th answer. Let's move on to the next topic. Now moving on into the 7th topic out of 9 questions. Now how neighborhood and community are significant in the child's development, or it can also be asked like how community influences the childhood development, whatever it is. Now the main thing we have to know is how the community is affecting the childhoods, or how is influencing the child's development. Okay, now family is done. We understood how the family influences the childhood. Now next they come out of the family, out of the house, then that is the community and neighborhood. Then later they move on to the other places. First neighborhood, now we have to understand what's that. Again, like society, okay, where you just come out, you just go in the society, how your society is, how your society is beside you. Are you in a very slum area, or in a very rich area, or in a simple countryside environment where you have normal individual houses, or you are living in an apartment or in a society? How, in which environment, in which neighborhood you were brought up? What are the circumstances there? How were your family, your house structured, and all that plays an important role in the child's development, in which community you live, and how are their food habits and culture. If you're a typical Brahmin and you're living in a community where the people are opposite, quite opposite to that, but because of your parents' job requirements or something, you have got your house there in an apartment or in a community where other people are quite opposite, and they just celebrate other festivals which are opposite to you. Then how are your food habits outside your culture and all, and how will your family stop you from doing all those things? How will they affect you? Like once you're going out of the community, you're not having an habit of having outside food. Okay, your parents will stop you by saying that is not a healthy food, you should not have it. Then how it is going to influence you? Like you will have it or you will not have it. You'll go according to your culture or beyond your culture. And how are their cultures? Like our culture is like respecting the guest, and the other people will be like they won't at all care about all these people, they just care about their own needs and all. And if you are living in an environment like that, how their food habits, culture affects you. And behavior, how is the behavior of your neighbors towards you? If they are neighbors who are cool, nice, like they don't have any problem with you or staying there, then they will be coming and asking you, sitting with your parents, chit chatting, gossiping about all the topics, and even you will be playing with their neighbors, friends, etc., then there is no problem. But if they have some problem of you shifting into that house, or you are coming into that locality, and then there will be some president elections problems like in that society wherever they live, and they will be having problems like this, then how are their behavior towards you? Maybe they won't respond to your queries, or you're newly shifted into that place, you want to know about what is this, where is what, like market center, where will you get all these requirements and all, what are the water facilities and all. If you are going to communicate with other people, if they don't respond you, how will you feel? That behavior. And child abuse is like hitting the children, discriminating, and not punishing often, very oftenly, like even if you get less marks, or you are not concentrating on the studies, that is like overprotectiveness. Or else few people won't care about anything, like they will be sending their children to work at houses, like child labor if it is in the low class environment. This kind of child abuses will be very effective on the children's mind, and they don't know at that level what will be running in their mind, and that affects a lot even in their career and in their life. And also gender discrimination, okay, even because it is a girl child, you need not go and study, you just sit at house and learn stitching, and do some household work, help your mom, help your dad. This kind of gender discrimination. Or even if they make you study only up to the certain extent, if the son is studying, they will go for higher studies. If a daughter is studying, only they'll let her study to the some extent, and they fear for that if she gets married and if her qualifications are more than the bridegroom, then they will not accepting for the marriage and all. They think very forward, and they just do all these gender discrimination kinds of things. And also their culture, food habits, and also affects a lot. And healthy relationships. Now there is not only a society where there are only the negative points, but also the positive points. If you are living in a society where there are healthy relations between the parents and family members and children, and you live behind neighbor of that house, then you will have to adopt that qualities, and you will have the chance to understand them, their qualities and all, their environment, how quality environment they live, okay, like following a particular time management skills, like when to do what, and spending time with their family members, taking decisions towards all the family members. See, put two families aside where they just take decisions, like they won't involve anyone, and they just only the elders will sit and make decisions about even the children's also. But the real fact is that no one has a right to make decisions about others' life, yes or no? But if there is beside a family who is sitting and discussing and taking decisions, thinking what is correct and what is wrong, just see the difference between both the families. Either they will change their attitude, that is for sure, by mingling with them and all, and they will understand what is the quality life. So healthy relationships are very important. And physical exercises. So if you are having a good physical exercises, you are going outside and you have a very big park outside your neighborhood, then everyone will be coming and doing morning walks, some yoga exercises, etc. They will allow you into that community, and they will register your name, so that you can also, as a member, you can go and do your warm-up exercises, some yoga. There will be some patients, right, sugar patients and all, walking in the park and all, like that you can do like that. So physical exercises also helps you to maintain a good health. And occupation. Now comes the occupation of the neighborhood. So here the comparison starts. Now their occupation is in that level. If you are also equal to that level, you will know how to plan your career, how are they doing, and how your occupation is, and you will have an support to suggest you to do something. When there is a well educated family beside you, then you know what to do. You want something to do in your career, but you are not having any idea like what to take, I mean which category to take, how to opt and how to study. Then this well educated family will stand behind you as a moral guidance and will be suggesting you. They will understand you and they will suggest you a very good step towards your career life. Okay, in this way the occupation of other family members and all also helps you. And even few people, they are very nice people in the society who will help for the education of other children also. Okay, like that is one of their aim, to educate the childrens, and they don't even mind if they are their own children or the other childrens also. If they want, the main aim is that children should get educated, they will spend on that also. That is how this also shows the influence on the childhood. And ideal qualities, you should have some ideal qualities like how to spend, how to talk to your children. That is also an art, no one can get that. And how to move on with the relatives, how to move on with the society, even if they are complaining about you, how to receive and how to answer them. These are some ideal qualities everyone should have, and this is how they influence on the child's mind and development of their childhood. Okay, what are those? Society's habits, food habits, culture, their behavior, and child abuse and gender discrimination. And again here comes healthy relationships, occupation, physical exercises, and ideal qualities. These are the qualities which affect and influence the child's development in the society. Okay, let's move on to the next answer. Now we are moving into the 8th topic, that is, what is the role of school in child's development? Now family is done, community is done, society is done, now it's school. Now we say family after family, school is a second home for children and teachers are the second parents. Yes? Now, how this school influences the childhood? It should influence in the good way. That's the reason we'll send the children to the school in order to teach them, or they will learn some moral values, some abilities which we cannot teach, because everything cannot be taught by the parents and they won't understand when parents teach. But whenever they go outside and they learn something from the society, something from the school, they come and reflect it here. Then they will understand how important are the words which were taught by the parents for them. Okay, so that's the reason how we are going to learn how the school is going to reflect influence the child's development. Firstly, healthy education, where there are the healthy educational facilities like providing very quality education about each and everything in a clear manner, in a practical way, and in a very interesting way, where the students can understand the concepts, where the students will not run behind the marks, but they will try to enhance in their skills and potentials. Okay, where marks does not mean at all. Okay, then healthy after educational, then bridges a bond between the school and social environment. This is again a social environment. After the community, you go to the school. If you are not interested, you need not come out of your house into your community. But when you are going into the school, you have to come outside your house and mingle with your social background people. That is your friends, teachers, your sirs, principals, everyone. Okay, so this school not only teaches you education but also helps you bridge the gap and helps you to get socialized with your friends, families, even till the age you did not join the school. If you are only in the house, when you join the school, at least from that time, you'll know how to socialize with your friends, family members and all. Okay, because of this school, you'll not only get education, but also you'll get some moral values, principles, and also you'll get new friends, and even your parents will get some new friends because of this. By picking you up, coming here and there, you will be having some parent friends, your parents will be having some parent friends, and you will be having your friends, and you will become, who knows, you will be a good friends, best friends from that childhood itself, and that will change your life. And then good food habits. Now you know few schools will not care about the food habits. They just run behind the studies and all, and they don't have the time to manage all these things. But there are few schools who are offering even the food, even followed with a proper diet. They are appointing some nutritionist in their schools, or they can taking advice of them, and then making the list of foods their children can take. And whenever they are coming into the schools, they are only permitted to have that lunch provided by the schools. Or even they are getting some unhealthy things like some chips or some junk food, they won't allow it to eat. Even they are getting their lunch box from house. If the teachers or the staff find them eating that such kind of junk food, immediately they are going to take it out, pull it out from their hand, and they are just going to throw it in the dustbin. So they are not allowed to eat junk food, at least at the school. So what's there? In home, anyhow, the parents will take care of them, and when the school is also taking the proper care about the food habits, then we need not at all worry about the food habits of the children. Okay, then national Indian characteristics. They will develop national Indian characteristics like peace, brotherhood, unity, non-violence. Non-violence is like no one is asking you to go and settle the issues between the countries. Okay, in that particular time, non-violence is like you should not fight with others, you just have to mind your own business and you have to study. And whenever someone is asking to help you, to give some pencil, eraser or something, or to explain the concepts or something like that, if you want to help your friend when he is falling down, you want to make a proper first aid, this kind of things you can do. And there should be a unity when you are playing a game, and if someone is coming and joining you, you have to join them, you have to play everything like a unity, and you should not ever discriminate others, or you should not make fun of others. These are the main rules and moral values taught in the school. And re-establishment of society. How it will be re-established means, whenever they are socializing with each other, they will have some problems. So together they will sit and solve the problems, through which they will re-establish a new society. Because when a problems arise, everyone get together and then they'll solve it. When their solution is getting a change, that will obviously re-establish the society. Then again after that, social efficiency. When you do all these things, you will be efficient in the social thing, like you will be a great person, everyone will take example of you, will be a great role model for them, and you will be a great example. And culture inheritance like following from generations to generations, in which in social subject, in some religion, you will talk about some religions, some cultures and all. So some Christianities, you will talk about religions, Hindus, Christianities, Muslims, Sikhs. When the teachers will be explaining about these topics, then you will be able to recollect it with your parents and your culture and traditions. Yes, I belong to this culture, ma'am is saying yes, this is correct. You will understand, and that inheritance will be written in the books, like how they followed and how you have to follow, and on the future day how you are going to teach your children, your students, all these cultural things. That's what called as cultural inheritance. And democratic leadership. The school helps to build a democratic leadership among the students. Democratically means freely. Okay. So you should have that ability to form a leadership democratically, and that leadership qualities to see everyone equally and give equal importance to everyone and welcome all their suggestions and take the optimistic decision, which is really helpful for everyone. This kind of qualities will also be developed only in school or not at any other place. And comprehensive personality, it will help you develop all your comprehension skills for future, like you'll be playing some games, you'll be reciting a poem, you'll be teaching, you'll be telling a story, whatever it is. Here you will have developing your skills to talk in public. These all are the public speaking skills. Now no one is interested in, yes, they are interested, but mainly they want to see the public speaking skills hidden in you. So that will develop when you come out of all these things, and when you play the games and you play some in which you will be a team leader, then how you are taking care of your team, etc. like that. That are the skills for future, and that will build up your personality and develops the emotional balance. How you have to balance your emotions. Emotions are like anger, happiness, sadness, and excitement. All these feelings are called as emotions. How to balance that? Whenever your friend is teasing you, you need not get angry. You just feel that, no, why should I care when he is not talking something real about me? So you won't care. This is a maturity kind of thing. If you are getting anger, then that is the time where you have to manage yourself. So all these kind of emotional management, balance, everything will be taught in the school. Okay, so these are the 12 characteristics that school shows its role in child's development. Healthy education bridges bridges a bond between the school and social environment, and respect and coordination, good food habits, and national Indian characteristics, and re-establishment of the society. Then social efficiency, cultural inheritance, and democratic leadership, comprehensive personality, skills for future, and develops emotional balance. This comes to the end of this answer. Next, move on to the next topic. Now we have came to the last answer, 9th out of 4 marks answers. Now we have 10 points in this. Now we are going to understand why is this adolescent stage called as storm and stress. Okay, because here there is a transition from the childhood to the adulthood. Okay, they are no more children, they are transforming themselves into adults. Okay, in this stage they will have some qualities. Those are listed as follows. Like they have some physical changes for girls and boys, like they get this age adulthood, and girls get the menstrual problems and all, even boys get that pubic hair growth, etc. and they feel shy often to get clarified about all these doubts and all. So that is really awkward for them. And also onset of puberty. This is puberty is one of the stage like before the adulthood. So in this, as I told you, that girls will have their own problems and they get physical structure changes, and attractions towards the opposite sex starts from here. That is not often supported by their family members. In this stage, also physical deformity. Maybe there is a normal physical development or a over physical development, and because of this hormonal imbalance, developmental of hormones and all, there will be some physical changes in the body which is not accepted. Like maybe they turn so fair, or maybe they turn so worst because of this, based on their body movements and all. So either they come out to the society because they feel they are so fair, or else they'll just isolate themselves behind the 4 walls, and they just don't want to come outside because they don't want to make others make fun of them. Okay, and also hormonal issues, and then role conflict. Here they are not neither children nor adults, so even parents cannot see them as either children, because they know they'll be starting knowing from everything from this age, and they cannot even trust, they cannot treat them even as adults, because children are always children to their parents. So they are not children nor adults, so there is a role conflict between them. And hero worship age, like in this age they will have some favorite heroes, favorite heroines and all, and as they keep understanding all these things, they just worship, either they do correct or wrong, they just feel themselves as one hero. They'll be saying they'll be having some features, then they'll be saying, oh, you're looking like a superstar, then like that they'll be starting admiring them, and they taking all those qualities, and whatever they do they'll follow the same, either it is correct or not. So that is a hero worship age, and they'll be doing all these things, and independence, and they just don't at all like to adjust with the family issues and all. They just want to independent, and then they won't even they won't care about the family issues or about the family, whatever it is. I want to have my independent life, I just want to enjoy myself, etc. These are the thoughts they have, and very curious to know about such things, which are often parents will not allow them to know, like related to sex issues and opposite sex attractions, infatuations, love, this kind of things they will be much interested of in this age, which is not at all correct for them. And but they tend to know about all these things in this age, and this age is really like a stress instrument, very dangerous. If you are put in the correct way, then you will make a good utilization of it, and you will know what is correct and what is wrong, so that you will be developed as a great individual to move on in the society. Here this is the age from which you will develop a good character, when till now you don't know anything, but once after you cross this age, you will be making aware of all these things in your mind, so that from where you will be making the correct utilization of things, where to do what. If you are taking in a positive way, your growth will be towards the positive side. If you are taking it in a negative way, it shows the negative effects on your life. So from here, this is a game changer type of thing, which everyone has to be carefully noticed, and just cross this step very fastly, and just step on to the good side. Okay, so these are the characteristics, and these are noted as a period of adolescence. Why it is called storm and stress, this 10 points will explain you. So that comes to the end of 4 marks answers. It's being a long time, and it will be also like a Greek and Latin for you if I'll start explaining this 10 marks answers also. Obviously we discussed almost 9 questions, so we'll take little break. I'll be coming back for you in another section to explain about 10 marks answers. It is not that easy to complete, but we will complete, don't worry. Okay, I'm there with you. I'll explain you everything. For now, I hope I made relevant to all these topics, cleared all your doubts. Still, if you feel there are any questions, any topics left, then you can comment me and let me know how did you feel after listening to this. Did you feel it is easy or it is complicated? Still there are any doubts, you can ask me. I'll be there to answer you. Then till the next video, then like, share, subscribe and stay tuned to Shrestha. Thank you.